Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 83 of the Houston Astros franchise here on MLB The Show 20. Today we have another live comp episode because we finished the month of August, our last monthly recap of the series. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. Also make sure to stay tuned to the end to help us in that YouTube algorithm. So this will be the last monthly recap because the next month will be the end of the season, so we'll have our end of the season recap, and then that'll bring us to the end of the series. The Astros is winding down. Hopefully MLB The Show 21 series is going to pick up soon. I hope they fix the roster vaults, and I hope that SDS gets that squared away, and then OSFM rosters can come out soon, because I do want to start bringing you guys content on MLB The Show 21. If you didn't watch the team reveal, go check that one out. We are using the Cleveland Indians for MLB The Show 21. I'm excited for that one, and I can't wait to bring you guys episode number 1. But back to the episode at hand today. The Houston Astros just finished the month of August. Here is how they did. They went 12-15 in the month of August, so not very good. They currently sit 88-51. However, they did lose a little bit of ground. Our AAA squad, they went 15-13. They're having a pretty solid season down there as well, sitting at 76-58. And then our AA squad, the Corpus Christi Hooks, are 27-37. They went 11-18 in the month of August. So at least our AAA squad did pretty good. But we'll take a look at how that stacks up around the league, starting with the AL East. The Yankees have a 7-game lead over there across against the Boston Red Sox. In the Central, the Chicago White Sox have pulled away and are more than likely going to win the Centrals. They have a 12-game lead on both the Indians and the Twins. We in the AOS have an 8.5-game lead against the Angels, who are starting to claw their way back. The Athletics, the defending World Series champions, are 10 back. For the wildcard race, it is the Red Sox and the Angels who are currently there, followed by the Athletics, who are a game and a half out. In the NL East, it is the Washington Nationals, who have a 3-game lead over the New York Mets, so pretty close out there. In the Central, which is by far the closest division, the Cubs lead, but only by a game over the Brewers. The Reds hanging back at 8.5 back. And in the division race, that is the farthest away, the Dodgers, 92-46. They have an 18-game lead over the Colorado Rockies. For the wild card right now, it would be the Mets and the Brewers. However, it's a very tight race in the NL with the Rockies a half game back, the Braves 1, and the Phillies 2.5. So it's anybody's race out there in the National League. How about rankings-wise? Let's see where we stack up, see what we're doing well. Obviously, we're hitting the ball very well. We have the best batting average in baseball, 285 batting average. We scored the most runs by a lot, 49 to be exact, over the Chicago White Sox. And then ERA-wise, well, actually, before we get to ERA-wise, it's kind of the reason why we did bad the month of August. While we were hitting the ball well, our pitching has really staggered. Like, they've really started to struggle, specifically in the bullpen. As we look at our ERA, we currently sit in 22nd place. That's not good at all. That's not good winning championship baseball formula. It's really started to escalate. We've kind of known this is a problem. We've tried to make improvements, specifically at the deadline, but even Joe Musgrove, who you see is highlighted, he hasn't been very good in an Astros uniform. A couple of bullpen pieces haven't been very good. We just made a move to call up Alex Reyes to give him another chance. But our bullpen and our pitching is what's really holding us back, and hopefully we can get that fixed in the last month of September. Part of the reason is home runs allowed. We allow too much of the long ball. We've seen that in recent episodes. We were tied for 23rd in giving up homers, so we really need to limit the long balls if we want to be better pitching. As far as around the league, we are currently the 3rd best team behind the Yankees and the Dodgers. We were the 2nd best team, however, our slip up in August has allowed the Yankees to catch us, and they would now be the 1 seed in the American League. But for the majority of the episode, we're going to take a look at player stats, see how our players are doing. Starting off with the hitting, I'm going to do it by OPS just so I can get a general consensus. And the best OPS hitter on the team is Mark Canha. Remember, we just saw him hit a grand slam last episode. He is batting .320, 26 homers, 70 RBIs. One of the best pickups this past offseason. I mean, he is killing the baseball. He was a very integral part of that Athletics World Series title, and I just don't understand why he left. But Canha, he's basically forced his way into the lineup, whether he's playing DH or in the outfield. Next up is Alex Bregman, who's hitting .326 on the season, 40 homers and 116 RBIs. Bregman is killing it. He actually didn't have a good August compared to what he's usually been hitting, because he was hitting in the 330s. And he was at one point the AL MVP frontrunner, but he started to lose that to division rival Mike Trout. But Bregman has been one of the best hitters in baseball. We have Josh Bell, who we acquired this season from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's hitting .312, 37 homers, 97 RBIs. He has done very, very good since the trade. Very happy with that pickup in its own right. Then we have Miles Straw, who's having a pretty good OPS. He's only batted 141 times, but he's hitting .319 with 3 homers and 19 RBIs. Called Straw to kind of just be that speed runner on the base pass, as we were really lacking that speed. Not really to be a hitter, but he is hitting the ball very well, so hopefully that continues for us. He's already got 4 triples, so that is a career high for him. Speaking of center fielders, George Springer's, he's hitting .300, 19 homers, 60 RBIs. I thought at one point he would start to regress more, but it seems like he is getting better in certain areas, having a much better season than he did last year. I don't know if he'll quite reach 100 RBIs again, but he has been very good as well. Jose Altuve, the former AL MVP, he's starting to get back to that form. 314 average, 18 homers, 57 ribbies. He's kind of been moved back to the 3 spot, and I think that is paying dividends. He is a very clutch hitter, and he's doing a good job with the runners on base. Carlos Correa, this is a negative. Carlos Correa went down in the month of August with a broken arm, and he is done most likely for the season. Maybe he'll be back in time for the World Series. It is unlikely, however, which is a pain because he was hitting .286, 22 homers, 88 RBIs, having arguably his best season in a couple of years, and he was due to be a free agent. So he would have got paid the big bucks. If we continue the series, that would have been a big storyline. How can we keep Carlos Correa when we are paying a lot of our infielders? Speaking of infielders, the backup utility infielder Aledmys Diaz, he recently came off of the injured list, .292, 4 homers, 17 RBIs. That is a huge jump from last year. He hit sub 200, but we saw him also hit a home run last episode, so it's good that even our bench players are helping us out. One of the disappointments of this season, though, is Yordan Alvarez. He's only hitting .263, 24 homers, 83 RBIs. He had a much better season last year, average-wise about the same, but he had 43 and a 115 a season ago. So, if there's one player who we'd like to maybe see an improvement on, it would be Yordan Alvarez. In right field, Josh Reddick, who's having a quietly pretty solid year, .271 average, only 5 homers, 16 RBIs. He would most likely not be brought back at the end of the season, but I think he's filled his role well after we reacquired him in the offseason. Justin Smoke, who was at one point platooning at first base before the Josh Bell trade, he's kind of been a non-factor down the stretch. We haven't really seen him in a while, but .213 with 4 homers on the season. Looks like his 2020 might have just been a fluke. In left field, Avisail Garcia, remember, acquired in the offseason in the Zach Greinke trade. He's hitting .261, so he's seen his average go down quite a bit. He's actually on a cold streak, as you can say. 8 homers, 43 RBIs. I was expecting a little bit more out of Garcia. Maybe he can turn it around in the month of August. I really hope he can, considering he's on his 4th team in as many seasons, and he would be a free agent in the offseason as well. So that would have been another player we'd have to think about keeping back. At catcher, Garrett Stubbs hitting .253, 9 homers, 51 RBIs. It's nothing special, but for his standards, that's actually really good because we had a hard time finding a starting catcher, and at one point he was platooning, but I know his average hasn't gone up much since last season, but it's good to be able to rely on him a little bit more. I feel more comfortable when Garrett Stubbs steps in the play. I think he does have a chance of doing it. He has a lot of career highs in home runs, RBIs, average, hits, triples. He has 3 triples on the season. It's been very, very good. Currently, we have Jack Mayfield also being the backup infielder now that Diaz is starting shortstop. He's hit .217. He kind of just bounces between AAA and the majors. And then Martin Maldonado, another player we haven't seen basically at all. He's the backup catcher now, hitting .213, free agent at the end of the season. But that does it for hitters. Obviously, we have a lot of good hitters in the lineup considering we're the best hitting team. But pitching-wise, obviously, we can't say the same. pitch. Well, I'll do innings pitch so we can go from starting rotation to the relief. But starting the rotation, Justin Verlander up first. 3.42 ERA, 170 strikeouts, 14-7 whip of 122. It is no secret that in his age 38 season, Justin Verlander is on the decline. He would be a free agent after this season, and there is a chance that he does retire. But I really need Verlander to kind of get back to his ace form. I know it's a lot to ask for at this point in his career, but if he can pull it together for a couple more months, he could be rewarded with another World Series title. Then we have Joe Musgrove, who we acquired at the deadline from the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was pitching phenomenal out in Pittsburgh, but ever since he's gone to Houston, actually come back to Houston, as he was an Astro back in 2016, 2017, it has not gone so well. He's kind of blossomed back into those numbers. He was having a career year, is still having a career year, as his ERA is still low, but that whip has jumped up to 1.29. He has allowed 19 homers on the season, 159 hits. He's really struggled since returning to Houston, so we really need him to also step up and be the pitcher that we traded Michael Brantley for at the deadline, who was actually hitting pretty good for us. Also, Lance McCullers, he is currently listed as our ace, and he has not pitched like an ace either. A 3.99 ERA. That is not ace numbers at all. 146 whip, that is very high. He is 11-6 through 27 starts, so need him to also pick it up. He would be a free agent, so hopefully he's able to step it up going into a new contract, which would be another storyline. Will we bring back Lance McCullers in the offseason? Also, starting pitcher Rogelio Armenteros, he has really gone cold. His ERA has ballooned up to 4.89. He's still young at the age of 25. Armenteros is somebody who you kind of just expect to be that 4 ERA guy at this point, but 4.89, that's even high by his standards. Needs somebody in the 5th spot to hold it down. And if we were to go to a 4-man rotation in the playoffs, Armenteros would definitely be that odd man out. And then lastly, Jose Urquidy, last year's breakout pitcher. He's got a 3.41 ERA, so not quite pitching at the level that he was last year, but his whip is down. He just doesn't strike out a bunch of batters, so he doesn't really go longer in ball games. He doesn't have the best stamina, but Urquidy has been a solid number 4 pitcher for us, and hopefully he can continue that going into the postseason. Now to the bullpen, which has been our struggle point, but if there is one bright spot in the bullpen, it is the play of Chris Devenski. Devenski did not have a good year last year, and he actually flirted with AAA again this year, but ever since being recalled up, he's been playing phenomenal. 2.55 ERA, 72 strikeouts in 74 innings, 111 whip. He's having his best season in about 3 or 4 years, so he has definitely turned into my most reliable bullpen arm. As you can see in games watched, we do go to him a lot in those middle innings. So hopefully he can keep that play up, because I need somebody who I can go to in the bullpen in the playoffs, and Devenski's looking like that guy. Also, we have Jose Urania in the bullpen. The reason why he's close to the top innings is because he is our long reliever. We acquired him last year from Miami, and he did a pretty solid job last year. However, it has not translated into this year, as he has a 5 ERA. So if I need my long reliever, hopefully I don't have to turn to him that much. Then we have Austin Pruitt, who's been kind of hit or miss, which is kind of his career at this point, 3.98. He's also bounced around between AAA and the majors a little bit. He's having his best season, which isn't saying much considering his other seasons weren't very good. So I guess by Pruitt's standards, he's actually been pitching pretty good. Then we have the newest bullpen arm, Edubre Ramos, who was acquired at the deadline from the Dodgers. Remember, we shipped Josh James out to Los Angeles, finally cut that cord. Went with Edubre Ramos. He has great breaking stuff, but sometimes he can hang it and kind of get drilled. And he's already given up 5 homers in 50 innings. Ties a career high. His whip is a little higher from last season despite his ERA being down, so that kind of tells you he will get hit a lot. He just needs to limit the runners that cross home plate. Then we have Ryan Presley, who's kind of taken over as that closer role. I kind of had him in hand splitting closer duties, but Presley is kind of the de facto closer now. He's by far our best bullpen arm. So he's kind of been relied on to get the saves. He has 23 on the season, 147 ERA, .93 whip. So if we can get to the ninth inning, Presley will close him down. He is also a free agent after this year, so that would have been another fun storyline to track, because I assume he would have liked a lot of money. And then we have Brad Hand, who was supposed to be our closer. We actually signed him in the offseason to be the closer because we had a feeling we were going to trade Roberto Osuna. But he has a 3.31 ERA, the former Cleveland Indian and Kansas City Royal. He's done pretty good, I think, in the setup role. I think he's done a lot better in setup. His ERA was in the 6s at one point, but ever since moving over to more of the 8th inning, I think he's flourished in that role. And lastly, we have Alex Reyes, who we just recently called up. Hasn't got a lot of work, but his ERA is down to 7.30, which is very good. Apparently, he's on a hot streak, too. Hopefully, he can get that down, because he was the guy I called up to make a change in the bullpen. But that's currently how our team looks going into the last month of the season. I don't want to highlight league leaders, because I just will at the end of the next episode, or next recap, and then obviously the same with awards. I will look at players of the month, though. I don't want to forget. In the American League, pitcher of the month, Jorge Lopez, 1.24 ERA. Trout was your player of the month, hitting over 400. Only had 5 homers, which is very small of Trout's. And the rookie of the month, Ben Ruta, out in Seattle as they look to rebuild in our division. For the National League, Trevor Bauer was your pitcher of the month, 1.16 ERA, 50 strikeouts in 5 games, average of 10 per game. Ronald Acuna Jr. was your player of the month, 360 average, but 9 home runs in 100 at-bats. That's a pretty solid average. And then rookie of the month, Jazz Chisholm out in Miami, 293 homers and 16 RBIs for the Marlins. That's going to do it for the recap today. I do want to highlight our last month's schedule. Next episode, we'll finish a series against Seattle and then have a 3-game series against Detroit. So hopefully some time or a chance to put some space in between us in the division. But I do want to highlight the second half of May. If you notice, our last 4 series are all against division opponents. We have a 2-game road trip to Texas. Then we have a 4-game series against Los Angeles that could be make or break. This could be the chance where we clinch the division, or this could be where the Angels get back in. Because keep in mind, they're only 8.5 outs. So 4 games, that is about half of that total. Then we travel home to face the Athletics, the defending World Series champions, so you know they know how to close late. And then we close at home against, who do you think? The Los Angeles Angels. So a lot of fireworks going to be coming down the stretch. Hopefully we can close out the division, make the playoffs here, and have some playoff baseball on the channel. But we got to get through Seattle and Detroit next episode. We'll see Joe Musgrove again, so it's kind of good we highlighted him. But he will be back in the rotation. Hopefully he can do good against a struggling Seattle lineup. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.